Adil and Samira had always been the talk of their small town. Their love had bloomed early, in the quiet corners of the schoolyard, under the ancient banyan tree that had witnessed countless stories of young hearts.
They were inseparable, the kind of pair people admired, envied, and sometimes doubted. But for us, our bond seemed eternal.
Adil was ambitious, always dreaming of a life beyond the narrow streets and dusty corners of the town.
Samira, on the other hand, found beauty in simplicity. She loved me with a tenderness that made her world complete, never desiring more than my presence.
As they grew older, Adil's ambition turned into an obsession. He wanted stability, power, and respect, the kind only a government job could give him.
After years of studying and relentless preparation, I finally achieved my dream, a coveted government position in the city.
The news spread through the town like wildfire, and for Samira, it felt like the happiest day of her life. She thought they would now start planning their future together. But Adil had changed. The day he received his appointment letter, something shifted. The weight of his new role, the prospects of his future, and the expectations of his family started to cloud his mind. He began seeing things differently. Samira's love, once a source of strength, now seemed like a burden, a tie that could limit his newfound freedom. One evening, under the same banyan tree where they had shared their first kiss, Adil arrived to meet Samira. She was glowing, her eyes filled with hope and dreams of a life they had once planned together. But Adil's face was clouded, his usual warmth replaced by a cold distance.
Samira, we need to talk.
His voice was devoid of the affection she was used to. Her heart skipped a beat.
What is it, Adil? Is everything all right?
Adil took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. He had rehearsed this conversation in his mind, yet now, standing in front of her, the reality of what he was about to do felt heavier than he imagined.
I think we need to end this.
He finally said, his eyes avoiding hers. Samira's smile faltered, disbelief washing over her face.
What do you mean? And what?
Our relationship, Samira, it can't continue. I've got this job now, new responsibilities. I need to focus on my career, on my family. This won't work anymore.
She stood there, stunned. The words felt unreal, like a cruel joke. Her heart pounded, her mind racing to make sense of what he had just said.
But Adil, we've always been together. We've always planned for this, for our future. Why now? Why would you end it now when everything is finally falling into place?
Adil's face hardened, his resolve growing.
You don't understand, Samira. Things are different now. I need to think about myself, my career. I can't be tied down by all this.
By me?
Her voice cracked, tears welling in her eyes.
You can't be tied down by me?
He didn't respond. The silence spoke louder than any words could. For a moment, Samira stood still, searching his face for any sign of the Adil she knew. The Adil who had once promised her the world. But all she saw was a stranger, a man she no longer recognized. Without another word, Adil turned and walked away, leaving Samira standing alone under the banyan tree. Her tears fell silently as the world around her seemed to fade. Weeks passed, and the town buzzed with the news of Adil's prestigious job and the growing distance between him and Samira. She became a ghost, a shadow of her former self, moving through life as though a piece of her soul had been stolen. Adil thrived in his new life, embraced by colleagues, family, and the endless opportunities his position offered. But deep down, as he lay in his city apartment, staring at the ceiling, an emptiness gnawed at him. His success, though fulfilling on the surface, lacked the warmth of the love he had abandoned. Yet, he convinced himself that he had made the right choice, that sacrifices were necessary for greatness. One evening, a letter arrived at his door, a letter from home. His mother's handwriting, shaky and hurried, bore bad news. Samira had fallen ill. It was sudden, and no one knew what had caused it. Some said it was heartbreak, others said it was simply fate. Adil's chest tightened as he read the words. Without thinking, he rushed back to the town, to the place he had once called home. But when he arrived, it was too late. Samira was gone. Her parents stood by her grave, their eyes hollow with grief. The town whispered of the girl who had loved too deeply and been left with nothing but memories. Adil stood frozen, the weight of his choices crashing down on him. He had gained everything he wanted: status, respect, a future. But in the pursuit of his ambition, he had lost the only thing that ever truly mattered. As he stood by Samira's grave, the banyan tree loomed in the distance, a silent witness to their shattered promises. The world around him felt cold, and for the first time, Adil realized the true cost of his choices. He had achieved everything, yet he had lost everything.
The end.